Hi, this is a quick follow-up to the last video where I showed you some of the niches I was looking at for setting up my e-commerce store. Now, the whole point of this YouTube channel is to help e-commerce owners free themselves from the tyranny of SEO by showing them the easier ways of doing it and the quick wins so that they can focus on selling their products. Now, you remember my own story. I used to work for a large national retailer and I ran their e-commerce website, and it was turning over as much as £1 million a week. So I have got e-commerce experience, and I've worked with many e-commerce owners improving their SEO over the past decade. But I've never had my own e-commerce store. So I'm starting down the path of getting my own e-commerce store so that I can understand better the challenges that exist for an owner. All that I'm saying to make the point that this channel is ultimately an e-commerce SEO channel. It's not a how to set up your own e-commerce business channel. So with that in mind, I am going to keep this video fairly short. It's not going to be loads of depth about how to pick a niche and how to set up a store online with Shopify, etc., etc. I will cover those, but that's not really the purpose of the channel. This is more background, if you like. So let's turn to where I am at so far. Now, you remember in the last video I'd selected a number of niches that I wanted to look at in more detail. So here I got eco-friendly stationery, there was specialty tea blends, minimalist desk accessories, and so on and so forth. The stage I'm at now is to work through each of those and just see, do they have the potential for me to rank a store selling those products, and if so, could it be profitable? And the way I'm doing that is I'm looking at some of the main keywords within the niche, and what I'm going to do is I'll walk you through the eco-friendly stationery example. I'm not going to walk every example that I've gone through, and I'm looking at the major keywords in the niche. So here, for example, we've got eco-friendly stationery, eco-friendly office supplies, and recycled stationery. And then using some software that I've got, some SEO software called Ahrefs, I'm looking at how hard is it to rank for that particular keyword. So this is a difficulty score of 0 to 100. Basically measures how many backlinks you would need to get into the top 10 of Google. So eco-friendly stationery, on the face of it, fairly easy to do. Eco-friendly office supplies harder, and recycled stationery also fairly easy to do in theory. Volumes associated with those keywords are not massive. This is monthly volume in the UK. So 80 searches for eco-friendly stationery, 20 for office supplies, and 40 for recycled stationery. So not a huge amount of volume. I've then, for each of those keywords, I've looked at some examples of websites that are currently in the top 10 that are possibly displaceable after not too long a period of time and not too much investment in building up a new site. So you see the examples here. I shan't read them out, but then one by one what I've looked at is their domain rating. So this is a measure again from Ahrefs of how strong that domain is. This is a measure of 0 to 100. It's a logarithmic scale, so it's much easier to get from 10 to 20 than it is to get from 70 to 80, for example. And they're all middle of the road. They're not particularly strong, but neither are they weak once they're in the 30s. That's all right. It's a decent place to be. These two, though, stationeryshop.co.uk and Any Green Will Do, fairly weak. That fairly easy to get to a DR of 7, 9, 20. Then at the domain level, I've looked at how many referring domains each site has got, so how many other websites are pointing to them. So Good Things Gifts, for example, has 264 other websites pointing a link to it. And again, just gives you a sense of the scale of the challenge of getting into the top 10. Remember, these are the weaker websites in the top 10. I haven't included the ones that are DRs 50, 60, 70 because you're just not competitive against them as a new website. And then the UR is URL level. How strong is the individual page, the home page, and you see several of these are not particularly strong at all. They've got very few links pointing at them, but the Green Office and Green Stat both got a decent measure and decent links pointing at them. And then, as you might expect, the other thing to point out here, I've made the note here, I've only added novel URLs at this stage. So Good Things Gifts, for example, might appear for eco-friendly office supplies, but I don't want to repeat it. I've already got their stats, so I've gone with 3 completely new ones for that keyword. And for recycle stationery, I've only pulled out 1 because actually these 6, or many of these 6, appear again for recycled stationery. Some notes about the site, how big it is, who it's targeting, what kind of price points, whether it's got socials, etc. And then I've looked at the products. So obviously stationery, it's a fairly small product. Price points are relatively low, it's £5 to £15 for an average one. You need lots of traffic to generate revenue because they are low price points. Is there a community around it? Well, no, this is recycled stationery. There isn't much of a community there. Repeat sales is fairly low. And seasonal, yes, it is seasonal. Christmas, New Year, back to school are big spikes in the volumes for this niche. And then a synopsis of my thoughts. So relatively easy to rank for, given time, but low value products need a high volume of traffic. The bigger players do all stationery or all office. So I think there is potential to kind of narrow down and just go for, notepads and diaries, for example. But it's hard to see. I couldn't really see an easy way of getting a social following. And wherever I want to go, whichever niche I end up with, I want to boost my traffic through a social following, and I couldn't see where that would go. And then another big blocker to making progress is it's low margin. Now the percentages might be fine, but the amount of pounds left over is low. Selling a £5 notepad is not going to leave you much money for advertising that £5 notepad. So ultimately, that is a no-go for me. I shan't be pursuing eco-friendly stationery. But hey, if you want to go with that, then fill your boots. Let's follow along as I build the website that I'm going to build, and maybe there is a future eco-friendly stationery shop just waiting to be born online. So that's it for this video. I hope that all makes sense. It's fairly brief. I'm going to carry on filling in this sheet, make a decision on what niche I'm going to pursue, and then the next step will be finding suppliers to make sure I can actually get products. And with that squared off, I'll be looking for a domain name and launching a Shopify website. And of course, I'll be capturing all of that on this channel. That's it for today though. Take care. See you soon.